Hello and welcome to our first live stream chatting about manufacturing both in 2020 and going forward from a China manufacturer's perspective. With small and medium-sized manufacturing enterprises making up more than 190,000 companies within a $25 billion market, it's certainly one to pay attention to. At Hyzal, we conducted first-hand research with our manufacturing partners and also drew on our own experience to give you this insight into how we've been impacted since January this year. I'll briefly touch on the overall impact of the epidemic on manufacturing industries within China, business owners' levels of confidence, coping strategies, and including proactive strategies these companies have taken. So our research indicated that overall, private companies have been more affected by the pandemic than state-owned or foreign-funded enterprises. We also found that multi-product companies were hit harder overall than single-product companies. Though some of these private and multi-product enterprises who are most adversely affected at the beginning benefited from executing initiative and prompt actions and achieved rapid recovery. From the outset of the pandemic in late January to its stabilization within China, the negative impact has become more prominent. So we've seen the pandemic spread globally, which has left foreign-funded enterprises that were less affected in the initial stages become more vulnerable to operational threats as time has gone on. So we explored the confidence levels of these business owners of different manufacturing companies within China to see how their confidence had changed pre, during, and post the pandemic within mainland China. So what we found was quite interesting. Companies that were more market focused were actually more optimistic than those that were market expanding, suggesting companies whose strategy was to diversify and to expand their current market were less confident about the future and felt more instability. As we know, the pandemic was beginning to be controlled domestically within China around March. It was spreading rapidly overseas, and at this point, the operating confidence showed a trend switch, with localized companies now becoming more confident about the future. This is mainly because they relied on mainland orders from within China to keep their business afloat, whereas foreign-funded and international enterprises were getting less and less orders as the pandemic became more and more serious, and people who were their buyers were now in lockdown. So there was a difference and shift in company strategy also. Given the situation globally, many of their aims were to focus on the China market in order to keep a steady flow of orders. We discovered two main coping strategies: market expansion and strategic transformation. Adopting a market expansion strategy focuses on initiatives to increase marketing efforts, stabilize their existing markets, consolidate old customers, and at the same time develop new customers and expand into new market segments. Strategic transformation involves embracing opportunities to carry out strategic transformation from offline to online business. So many companies saw the real benefit of now moving to a more online business model, whereas the former market expansion relies on a more agile operation of the business and requires the external market environment to be responsive to this, especially during the pandemic. So the latter is more of an aggressive strategy where companies take the initiative to attack. And this goes against the trend during the pandemic, and it tries to actually expand the market. For China's manufacturing industry, strategic transformation showed a greater positive effect overall. So companies that were displaying high market expansion and high transformation actually showed the highest return to work rates, actually reaching 96% by April. This was closely followed by companies of low market expansion but high transformation, just 87%, so 11% less than manufacturing market expansion companies. Correspondingly, we found that companies with high market expansion but low transformation had the lowest return to work rates, around 68%, with 30% of this sector still not having returned to work by August, with no immediate plans to do so. So what can we learn from this? Well, it suggests that in light of the pandemic, strategic transformation is fundamental, and efforts to expand original channels of sale play a more important, however supportive role. So a company's market expansion is reliant on the systematic recovery of the external environment, which is sometimes out of our control. And internal strategic adjustments can therefore play a greater role in a company's ability to bounce back. From March to April, China saw a huge number of companies bounce back and return to business. Manufacturing firms actually responded swiftly and adapted a flexible and diverse response strategy, and it's these firms that reported a faster recovery overall. Business owners' confidence in China continues to be on the rise, with a large percentage managing to resume production at speed. Structurally, different kinds of companies have been affected in different ways. So what we have been able to highlight by both our first-hand research with our manufacturing partners and also from our own insights as a manufacturing firm during 2020 is that companies are actively changing, making strategic adjustments, and the ones that are closely focused on R&D and making these adjustments have a better likelihood of a fast recovery. So whether the company adopts a market expansion strategy or internal strategic transformation, being agile and actively responding to current challenges, which might mean throwing the existing strategy out the window, gives a greater chance of success. Looking to the future, when we explored possible strategic countermeasures that our manufacturing partners were adopting throughout China, some interesting points arose. Firstly, a business owner's self-efficacy played an important role in how they perceived the impact of the pandemic. The higher their self-efficacy, the more optimistic they were about the future in terms of income and earnings, and the higher their confidence was for the future. Certain preemptive measures seem to be positively correlated with the company's continued success. For example, taking proactive measures such as active decision-making, consolidating existing markets, increasing marketing efforts, developing new customers. These are just amongst some of the factors that have proved beneficial. For companies who objectively and rationally recognize changes in the environment and demonstrate forward drive in taking action, they have also been amongst the ones who have managed to the large extent overcome. This concludes our webinar for today. I hope this has been somewhat informative for you. We would love to hear what kind of response strategies and what you've been adopting in your countries, whether you're a manufacturing firm or a different firm, in light of COVID. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you found this short video interesting. And please let us know also in the comments what videos you would like to see going forward. Thank you for your time today and goodbye.